Well,
Oh, really?
maybe not.
Yep.
Oh, there we are.
Thank you. I didn't want everybody to know that.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We have a guest tonight. It's Kathy Kreitler, and she's got a couple of things to talk about. So
Yeah. I always have something going on, don't
yeah,
I?
you do. Yeah,
And that's
you
a
do.
good thing, though.
And,
Yeah.
and they're very interesting all the time.
Right.
Yeah. Which way do I look?
Either way,
Either way.
it'll catch up.
Either way.
Okay.
Because it's both sides.
I guess first we'll start off with thank you, Iris, for inviting me. Because like I told you,
Oh, yeah, but I'm
and
glad.
Martha.
Yeah.
I always told her I always have something to talk about.
Well, that's good because we, you know,
Sometimes you get in a squeeze, yeah.
right.
Yeah,
just
that's
need-
happened quite a bit lately.
Right,
Yeah.
and if you know that you got some stuff, give us a call,
Oh,
too,
yeah.
and then we'll just put you on.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
I wanted to start off when Iris asked me to talk on Zach Kreitler. He's my son,
Yeah.
and on Valentine's Day it's going to be the 10th anniversary since he passed away.
Oh my goodness.
And it has been difficult dealing with his death. Nobody wants to lose a child.
Right.
But we did have a little good come out of it because he wanted to be an organ tissue donation person. And at the time, I didn't see the importance in it, even though I know it's important, but
Right.
I didn't know how healing it would be for the family, for us.
Right.
But he died of cancer, but even though he died of cancer, he was able to donate his corneas, and he gave 2 different women sight. So that has given us just joy, I guess you'd say, that
Right.
something good came out of it. I mean, it's horrible when you lose your child.
Right.
But it also feels good to know that he's helped somebody else that nobody else could have helped them.
Right.
You know, only he could give that gift. And it changes their life. you
Right,
know,
exactly.
Just changes their life, and they are so grateful. Every recipient is grateful.
And have you
So-
got to meet them?
Well, I didn't want to meet.
Okay, well, and that's okay, I know.
No, it's a personal choice. but
Right, yes.
Because it's his eyes, I just didn't want to look into
Oh,
somebody
yeah,
else's
yeah,
eyes and see
yeah.
him. I don't know.
Right.
It's a
Yeah.
personal choice,
Yes.
and most recipients do want to meet their donors, but I don't know, we
I
just
can
decided
understand
not
that,
to.
the eyes are.
Yeah.
That
If it was
you're-
his heart, I would have met him, but I don't think I could listen to the heart, which I've seen some people listen to their,
Oh.
the donor's heart, like their child or their dad's
yeah,
heart
yeah.
in somebody else, and I don't know if I could do that either.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because it is emotional. It's
Oh,
emotional when
I
you lose a
bet.
child.
Okay.
And organ tissue donation is emotional when it's happening, but it flips the other way where it's rewarding, when you get past the initial horrific grief of losing a loved one, and you can go to the other side and see how it benefited someone else. So anyway, that's I brought the plaque that we use. Zach gave my husband a 65 Chevy short bed step side pickup truck 2 weeks before he passed away. Whenever we went to car shows, that's always the vehicle that the kids looked for. Dave would always have them look for that vehicle. So Zach found one, and he wanted to redo it with, restore it with my husband. But he got like a lung infection that ended up being too much for him, and he succumbed to the complication of that. But anyway, he gave us this truck. So after he passed, we're like, what do we do with the truck? And we're like, well, I guess we got to restore it.
Right.
So I don't have pictures of it. I wish I would have. But we restored the truck the way we thought he would want it restored. It was a 6-year project. It was only worked on by friends and family, people that we knew, and that was a real blessing, even though it took 6 years. It took a long time. But it was really cool the way people cared about Zach enough, and they knew what he wanted and what he liked. And I mean, the dedication, I don't know if you know what it's like to paint a truck, but
Oh, no.
I mean,
I
they took it apart like 6 times and put it back together to make sure all the lines were straight and everything, because once you paint it, that's the way it's going to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was good. It was healing to see everybody come together like they did
that's good.
for it.
That's
And then we put the plaque at car shows, and people read it. A lot of people read it, and it's got the Donate Life and the Mid-America Transplant, which I became a volunteer with Mid-America Transplant. And a lot of times they'll ask us about it, or they'll ask us about the truck, but either way, we always turn it into talking about organ tissue donation.
Right.
And I ran into one person that didn't want to do it, but all the rest of them were very, either proud that they already signed up for it,
Right.
or, were curious about it or had questions and all that. So it's been real beneficial, I think, to get awareness out.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. While I'm thinking about it, the most important thing when you do organ tissue donation, when you think about if you want to be a donor, we always call our donors heroes because they are a hero to the person who receives their tissue. But most important thing you can do is talk to your family, which I didn't understand that talking to your family was so important, but when there's a dire situation and someone might pass away, they talk to the family and say, what do you think they would want to do? Because you can't speak anymore, because when they bring in Mid-America Transplant, you've basically already passed away if you're like brain dead or whatever's going on. There's no hope for you recovering. I've had some people ask me, well, they going to hurry up and kill me so I can get an organ?
I know.
And I'm like, no, they don't. They don't even call Mid-America Transplant until everything is exhausted and they've basically,
They're pretty well dead.
Yeah, they pretty much are. So anyway, if you talk to your family, that's what's important, and a good time to do that is a get-together. If it's a barbecue or Thanksgiving or Christmas, because not only are you going to be giving a gift to the person that's getting your organ or tissue, you're giving a gift to your family because they can get a little bit goodness out of losing you, and someone else is going to benefit and they can be proud.
Right.
If you get on the Mid-America Transplant's Facebook page, you'll hear that a lot. People will comment, about, how it was good that their family donated. So anyway, you should, if you go to the license office, whenever you renew your license, if you can sign there to be a donor, that's great. But the most important thing is to talk to your family, because they're gonna, even if you're on the registry, if one person in your family says, I don't know, I don't think we should do it, they won't do it, period.
Oh my gosh.
Even if you sign that paper? Really?
They will not do it because Mid-America Transplant is extremely professional, and I don't think ethical is the word, but they're very protective of their donor families, and they don't want to hinder anybody's grieving process. So it's not worth, Mid-America Transplant has decided it's not worth it to them to take organ or something if it's going to upset somebody and hinder their grieving process, where they would have a hard time getting over.
That's good to know.
Yeah, that's why it's so important to tell the family. Yeah, because the family's going to say yes, he'll want us to do that, or like I said, if one person.
Right, if one family.
Yeah.
That's amazing,
It
since
is.
you have a right over your body and your family can override it.
Well, you're not really there anymore, though.
Yeah, you're right.
Somebody has to make decisions for you because you can't make those decisions anymore.
Well, you know what, that's a good thing to know, though, or even get that out, to make sure that your family knows that.
Yeah, you should have a discussion, because if you make it a family discussion, then everybody can say how they feel.
Right.
And maybe they don't want to, and don't donate if you don't want to. I'm not trying to strong-arm anybody into donating.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, talk to your family and stuff, and, if two of them don't want to and the rest of them do, that's fine, but then everybody knows.
Right.
And if a situation comes up, because when those situations come up, it's just turmoil.
Yeah.
It's just so
even
much
worse.
turmoil,
Yeah.
and it's nice to know that things are set, that you know how they felt
Yeah.
about doing stuff. And they are a hero, because they will totally change somebody else's life by doing that. Okay,
Yeah.
so I've got some numbers here. This is from 2020, and I got new glasses, I can't see it. I have to bring it closer to me. The number of organs transplanted was 815, and this is St. Louis area.
Okay.
I was reading over some stuff before I came, and 41,354 organs were donated across the nation, and that's the highest number. That's the first time that the United States made it over 41,000.
Oh my gosh.
So it's catching on. People are getting more relaxed about it and understanding how it works and everything.
Right. Well, didn't it say 41,000 more lives?
Yeah.
Or benefited them, like you said, with the eyes.
Our kidneys.
Our kidneys, absolutely.
Hearts, yeah. Yep. Okay, and then it says 908 corneas were given for transplant, which is what Zach did. And then 181,800 tissues were given for transplant. And tissues, I didn't realize how much tissues were, but they can be bone, skin, they can be valves in your heart, just all kinds of things that they use.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa.
Valves in your heart, but valves in your veins
Your
too.
veins
I'm sorry.
too, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God.
They can take actual veins too if they want to do a vein.
181,000.
That's St. Louis area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. This is Mid-America transplant numbers. These aren't national.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is just the same as there.
Yeah, and then I've got 115 paths of honor. And what a path of honor is really cool. But if somebody's basically passed away and they're going to donate, people in the hospital and family and whoever wants to be there line up the hospital hallways.
Oh.
And they take the person through. And there was a janitor that died of COVID in St. Louis, and they showed the honor walk. And I'm like, that is so cool that they're showing that.
Oh my
and they
gosh.
actually hollered out to him,
Really?
things as he went by. And it's an honor for him to, it's a way to recognize them.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's really,
Yeah, if you get on their Facebook page, you'll see some
I'll have to do
every
that.
now and again.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it's really awesome that they do that. They're very protective of their families and stuff, and they offer services and things like that, and different things to remember the people with. And they did 2,806 people attended remembrance events, and I know one of them is a run.
Oh,
And they
really?
put pictures of the people who donated, like on a yard sign, along the way. And so as you're running, you can see their name and their picture and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's really sweet. They're very protective of their families.
Yeah.
Something else, I don't know why I didn't say this earlier, they make covers. They have volunteers come up and make covers with the ties on them,
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and whenever they get a person in or a client, however you want to say it, they cover them up with that cover, and that cover stays with them until they're finished donating and everything, and then the family gets that cover.
Oh my.
So I thought that was cool too.
Yes.
That is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really sweet. And then they've got a family house, they call it. It's 1-bedroom apartments, 2-bedroom apartments, and I think there's 2 apartments with 3 bedrooms. And they have like internet access. They have a full kitchen, dining room. It's just like a whole apartment. And they use it for families that need to stick around for a while, and they have to be more than 25 miles away. And it's mid to long-term stays. So it's not like a 3-night stay or something like that. It's for long-term stays.
Oh.
So that's
So if
really cool.
somebody
And it's
is-
free, of course.
Oh, yeah. So if somebody is dying and they know they're dying, it just say it might take 3 months. Is that
It's
what
more
it
on
is?
the receiving side.
Oh, the
If you're-
receiving
Yeah,
side.
if your family's
Oh,
going to get something.
okay.
Because if they're going to pass away, which I haven't talked about it yet, but they've got a procurement center is what they call it, procurement. And they started that in 2001. They were the first place to have one. And what they do is they'll come, like if somebody's basically dead, if they're brain dead or whatever's going on, the hospital or whatever, we'll call Mid-America Transplant. Then they'll decide if they're going to be able to donate or whatever, and then they'll bring them up there to St. Louis. And it's off of Hampton. It's real close to the zoo.
Okay.
And they'll take them up there, and they actually have an ICU. I think it's a 6-bed ICU or a 10-bed ICU? 6-bed ICU. And so it's got nurses and doctors and the whole thing. And they take care of the person, and they'll line up like who's going to get what and everything. But that might take a few days, but I think it's just a few days.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
like a long-term thing.
I see.
But they will bring them up to the facility.
my
And I've got some information on the facility, but it's basically a hospital. I think it has everything except a CAT scanner.
Oh, okay.
It's got MRI, but I don't think it has a CAT scanner.
So how long After you pass away, are your tissues good? For a
When they do
transplant?
that phone call, like if you are gonna die and they call the Mid-America Transplant, they have a questionnaire type thing they go through, and they're very particular about the tissue that they take because they want it to be successful. A lot of it depends on the situation. Like I recently had a girl that I know that she was breathing on her own, but she had a trach in. But they wouldn't take anything because the trach doesn't guarantee that she had good oxygenation of all of her tissues.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, there's all kinds of little subtle things that you don't think about.
Right,
Right.
yeah, I never thought about that.
Yeah, because they want to make sure everything was oxygenated and everything's really good and healthy. And
Right.
because when they transplant, they want it to take off. They want
Right,
it to be
they
good.
want it to be good, absolutely.
Yeah. So, anyway, these are the logos. I thought maybe it would be cool if people saw those. Let's see. I talked about the procurement center. They have access to the operating rooms, ICU, labs, equipment designed for organ and tissue recovery, and they give the best possible care to the donors and deliver safe, reliable organs for transplant. The ICU is on par with intensive care facilities in any large metropolitan hospital. It's designed for our life-saving team. This space allows for the control and timing and quality and reliability of organ donation through evidence-based critical care medicine. So they have all the staff and everybody that's very knowledgeable and knows how to do it. So because it is important, it's not like a fly-by-night thing.
So this place that you're talking about, after the people get the organs, is that the people that stay, or no, wait a minute, that's not what I'm trying to say. So the person that gets the organ, they stay in this hospital?
No,
Oh.
they'll stay at, it's St. Louis Children's, SLU, Barnes, and there's 4 of them. I think I put them on my phone. But there's 4 St. Louis hospitals that do the actual organ transplant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they'll go to those hospitals to do it. But I think Mid-America Transplant offers that housing
I see.
as a
what
place
you-
for them to go because, it's so involved in everything.
Right. Okay, I understand. My brother was a recipient of a liver.
Was it? Well, see, you know how important it is.
Oh, yeah. I sure do.
Yeah, it's Barnes Jewish, Cardinal Glennon, Children's, and St. Louis U.
Okay, his was at Barnes.
Yeah, those are the ones that... Okay, let's see. And then the eye and tissue bank, they have people that just do that take those tissues. And then they've got an on-site lab where they can test to see if they're a good donor. Like, say my girl with just the trach, they didn't identify that yet, and they took her up there. They would do lab work to see if her tissues were perfused with oxygen, and maybe they would find out they weren't.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's they have a lab that specifies exactly for the ability of the tissues to survive in their
Whoa.
next person. Yeah, and then they also have a different lab that does, the tissues. Let's see. There's one for screening and one for regular lab work, like CBCs
Right.
and that kind of thing. Okay. Let's see. That's about it. And it talks about how they follow up and everything. So I think that's my Mid-America transplant. I did a lot of volunteering for them a couple years ago with the car shows. We just, blew them out of the water with how much time and people I had
So
talked
do
to.
they have like a fundraisers, or, I don't want to use it as a fundraiser.
They use awareness stuff.
Okay, like Ronald McDonald's, they have, like all your McDonald's ask you to, I don't know that they all do it, but I know we do, ask if you run a roundup to the nearest
Yeah.
dollar. That money goes to the Ronald McDonald House for the people, for the parents of the kids that stay there. So if these people go and stay, that's just free and,
Yeah, they don't have any fundraisers,
Oh,
America
okay.
Transplant. When you were talking, I'm like, where do they get their money?
yeah, right.
They probably have big donors. I
Yeah,
have
I'm
no
sure they
idea.
have to have something.
But they have a lot of employees up there, and they
It might
give,
be government funded too, since it's
it could
medical.
be partially, yeah.
Oh, you know what?
yeah.
I never even thought about that. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, and they give me all kinds of toys to give people.
Oh,
Bracelets and ink pens and
Yes.
bottles and baseball hats.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was doing the women's health fair at the hospital.
Oh, really?
But with it going virtual, I think I did it last year. I just gave them like a bucket of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, they give me all kinds of stuff to give away, hat
Oh,
pins
neat.
and yeah. It's just like a talking point and a reminder when they leave.
Right.
They'll have like a little reminder of what they talked about. So
Oh, that's
Anyway.
good. Oh my goodness. I seen all that. So I remember Zach. He was an amazing young man.
he was
He's
funny,
such
wasn't
oh,
he?
he was such a good
He was
kid.
like Jim Carrey. He used to drive me crazy. He had Jim Carrey comedy.
Yes, he
It's
did.
all like
He was-
physical comedy. He would
He was
fall
funny.
and
What? So how old was he when he actually passed away?
24.
24. I knew it was early 20. I was
Yeah.
thinking maybe 21 or something.
Yeah,
So
yeah. He was
24.
diagnosed when he was 20. They said he would live a year and a half, and he lived for 4 years.
Oh my goodness.
But he did experimental treatments. He went out of state and stuff, and I don't recommend that because he was miserable.
Really?
I think it'd be better to live while you're alive. And,
Right.
But he didn't want to die.
Yeah. Oh, I guess not. He
Yeah.
was so young. He had a lot of life in him.
Yeah, he was wild. I always say white knuckled. Anything with wheels, he would drive.
yes.
And I say white knuckled because you're holding on,
Right.
and the knuckles are
Oh
white.
yes. Oh yes.
And
know,
he
we
had to
ne-
have you go with him. It wasn't good enough just to watch him.
Right.
No, he wanted you with him.
We were just talking about this today. This family I know, this young man that just passed away a week or so ago, and I said to him, I said, you don't know. You never ask God why. We all know we're only here for a while. We're here for a while. We're not for here forever. And I said, you never know why at that time. But there's a time that you'll know why he was taken or whatever. And so with my parents, my sister took care of us. Well, she was 19 and had 5 kids.
Oh, wow.
So
In her free time.
Right. So when my mom and dad passed away, I have a brother that passed away all within a year.
Oh, my
And you
goodness.
think, how could he take a baby? It took me a while because I was mad at God, and good thing I had some church family to help us through it. But I couldn't understand why he would take a baby. Well, guess what? My sister couldn't handle 6 kids, so he knew, So we think about that, you never know why, and especially when they're young like that. Now, if they're, in a car wreck or something like that, that's one thing. But, when they have cancer, and I see this, with the kids on TV with St. Jude, it's like they're too young. What's the reason for this?
As a nurse, I can tell you, I did a pediatric private duty for a while.
Oh, really?
And I took care of ventilator kids that were like newborn to, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 maybe.
My gosh, yeah.
And the thing is what I got out of that was I saw God.
Yes.
And so you wonder, why does this little child have to go through this? Probably to teach me.
I know.
And you don't think about that when I first started doing it. I
don't.
didn't know, but by the time I got done, I felt so blessed to be able to have the job I had.
And it changes your life.
Yeah.
does.
So what I'm saying is you may not know
No.
how people are affecting
Right.
other people,
Right.
but God's moving in that, and you may never know.
Right.
But there's a reason. Ever since all that happened to me, I realized that somebody's getting touched, somebody's hearing something, somebody's
Right.
getting something they need to get,
Right.
you know.
Absolutely.
So,
But that's awesome.
yeah. Okay, so we'll move on. I'm also with the St. Genevieve County Community Service Forum, and I had talked about them before. It's a group of people who service St. Genevieve citizens who do things to help them. Some of them are businesses and stuff, and some of them are private people that are part of this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and if you're interested in being a part of it, you can contact Australia at
Australia.
the Extension
Okay.
Center, and I'm sure she can set you up or explain more about it. But it's just people that come together for St. Genevieve citizens.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm with that, and one of the things that I'm doing with that, and there's 4 of us that are working on this, and it's brand new, so nobody's heard of it yet. We call it St. Gen Cares. Steve Bleckler from St. Vincent de Paul, and Australia from Missouri Extension Center, and Mary Bleckler from the hospital, and then me from the forum, and I do domestic violence. The 4 of us came together, and we had a lot of people in need, and we needed to find out how to help them the best. How can we be more efficient with helping people? So what we came up with was like a resource guide, and we went over the one that was there, and we just vamped it up and gave all kind. It took a long time to do all that.
I bet it did.
And I should have brought one of those, but I don't have one. But we do have, and there's not a whole lot of these yet, which I'm hoping I think we're going to get a lot of them. This is like a booklet, and it's the Helpful Handbook of Resources for St. Genevieve County. And it basically has what the resource guide has in it, but it's easier to handle, and it's easier to read.
Yeah.
It's easier to find stuff. That's why we made it for people that are having, that can't look on the paper, because
Right.
even we have a regular 8 by 11, and then a legal size.
Oh,
We
okay.
have both sizes, but even the legal is still hard to read it all. So it's got things like here, like assistance for those in need, education, goods, services, and utilities, and it gives you contact numbers for those places. Here's auto repair and towing. This is domestic violence. That's where I've got my stuff. Counseling service. It's got like community counseling center and the suicide prevention hotline, developmental disability services. Anyway, it's got a lot of information on it, and it's very handy. We actually heard back that there's a couple counties that actually want them.
Oh, really?
Because
Oh, wow.
it says it quite a bit. It's got a lot of, like, food. It offers when they're giving the food out
Oh,
and
the
everything.
trucks.
Yeah. Pregnancy services, nurses for newborns, option for women, things like that. So anyway, with this book too, they added a sticker on the back where you can screenshot it with your phone.
Oh.
And then the reason you'd want to do that is we have a website. There it is.
Oh, okay, St. Gen
Okay.
Cares.
Yeah, St. Gen Cares, there's no dots, stgencares.org. And today it's down. It's never been down before. We've had it for quite a while, because we've been updating it
Right,
and stuff. Steve's been
right.
working really hard on it. But anyway, it's down right now. Hopefully it's not down anymore, but if you get on there, it has a lot of stuff. It's got the community calendar, which they have at the library, I think, or
Oh,
the
okay.
library Facebook page or something. It's got that on it. It's got the resource guides I just told you about. You can press on the 8 by 11, or you can press on the legal size, and you can print it up if you wanted to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think what else it has. It's got a lot of the church directories and stuff. It's got like when the food banks are there, and it's got a lot of information on
Oh,
it.
well, that's good.
So it will be handy, and a lot of people have access to the internet now with the
Right.
cell phones
Oh,
and
yeah.
everything, the
Oh, yeah.
smartphones.
Right.
So it's an easy way to, like, one-stop shopping. You can see what you need and look down, who offers it
Just
and
find
things.
it, yes, that's good.
Yeah, so that's what we've been working on, and we're kind of wanting to take the next step, which is why I have permission to talk to you guys about it.
Okay.
We're wanting to get we have a phone, and a phone number, but we're wanting to get people to answer the phone. Excuse me. We're not sure how long they'll have the phone and things like that. I don't think it's an actual physical phone. I think you use your smartphone with the
Oh,
app.
okay.
But I'm gonna have to drink.
Have you got, I was gonna say, have you got something? Okay.
Excuse me.
So will you be doing that in some place, or you can do it at home, or?
What we're planning on doing is doing like an outreach to the churches, but I'm also talking about it here because this is for regular people too. This
Right.
is not just, the community service forum is for everybody.
Everybody, yes.
Not just people with churches and stuff.
Right.
And we have all kinds of stuff in here, not just churches.
Okay.
So that's why they were wanting me to say something, and if anybody's interested in manning the phone, it would be very easy as far as, we'll have like a protocol that you follow, and basically you would just do the walking the fingers, and just give them the phone numbers,
Oh, okay.
of who it would be. But sometimes people don't understand that, have
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Sometimes when you're under stress, and they
Right.
probably are, they'll
So
just
if they
need a little
just call
hand holding.
you, you'll let them know those answers. I'm sorry, those phone numbers.
Yeah. That's what we're thinking is what's
Okay.
going to happen. Yeah, and they have to make the phone calls and stuff,
Right.
because St. John Cares is not, we don't provide services.
Right.
We just give direction.
Right.
So if they want something, they have to call that person to get it, and we're not the connection. We don't call that group or whatever to
Right.
get them what they want.
You just let them know who to call.
Right.
Well, that's
And we can tell them like, oh, these different things offer this.
right. Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah. So we're very proud of our work, and I think the whole forum is too.
Oh,
They're real happy with
absolutely.
what we're doing. When we first brought out our resource guides, they all went crazy. I want more.
All right. I bet they did.
Yeah, because our other one was really old. I forget how old it is, but yeah, I spent a lot of time on the phone with those. But anyway.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's
That's
St.
exciting.
Jen Cares.
So will it be like an 8-hour shift, or
They weren't sure. We
what you
really
do, or
Yeah.
maybe like somebody in the morning and then somebody in the afternoon, or?
Yeah, I don't know. We don't really know. We wanted to
Okay.
see what
It's
kind of
just-
response we get and stuff, because I know like St. Vincent de Paul gets 24/7, and I get 16 hours a day with the domestic violence. I've never gotten one at night,
yeah,
but
I
I
bet
get
so.
it day and evening, so.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they're working, people work and they call when they get off work, so.
Right. So
I mean, we're thinking it would be,
so it's not just a 8-hour day shift.
yeah, and it's not like it's going to happen all the time.
Right. Absolutely.
I mean, and, we were talking about continuity. I mean, maybe somebody should do it for 4 or 5 days in a row, because if
Right.
the same person calls, they'll know that person.
They'll know them.
Because that's what happens a lot with our experiences. When people call in, they usually call 2 or 3 times, because they're not quite sure how this is supposed to work out.
Right. I could see
So-
that happening. Yeah.
So, yeah, we're just we're kind of feeling it out and stuff, but we wanted to see what kind of response we get from the community.
Right. Well, I love the idea.
That is, that's great.
I would consider volunteering.
There you go. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and it's helping people in need because,
Right.
and you've got chronic people, but then you all
Right.
have people that are short-term that if you just give them a hand up and stuff, but some people just have a hard time too. I
Right.
mean,
Right. Sometimes
all
you just need
kinds.
to talk to them and,
yeah. Yep.
just have feelings for them, or let them know that you care, that there's somebody that cares. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that idea.
Okay, so my next thing is, I told you I could talk about anything.
Hey, that's okay, Carol and Kathy, we love it.
I'm with St. Genevieve Community Service Forum, and I do domestic violence for St. Genevieve County, city and county. And all that means is I'm a peer. I'm not a professional, So, and when I get phone calls, I can direct them to places they need to go.
Right.
I've brought in, with grants, I've brought literature and stuff, and then like to the county, to city and county. And I've gone to court with some of the girls now. I didn't do that recently, until recently.
okay.
And I'm just there for support,
Right.
and I can discuss with them. I'm not legal at all, but I can say this is what I've seen,
Right,
you know.
right.
And it's kept me pretty busy.
Oh, I bet so.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, just to know that somebody has somebody.
yeah.
You know, one of like those, I don't want to say girls or guys, whatever, whoever, has somebody that they know cares or help them through something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, I had one
That's
girl
awesome,
that was like, oh, you know, you're non-professional or whatever, and now she just loves me.
Right, right.
She's like, you've helped me so much.
You know, I think they think because.
And I'm like, I just
you-
know stuff, and I know,
Right.
I know people, I know how people act, you know, and I'm like, don't expect this to happen, you know.
Right.
You know, they're putting all their money on this. I mean,
Right.
not money, but
I know,
putting all their
but
bets on
that's
this,
right.
and it's like, this is what I've seen 100 times. And,
Right.
Yeah.
And you're there, you know. So
Yeah.
just guiding them.
Yeah, and just a phone call. I've had several that just call me, and they're just like, you know, I don't know what to do,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm just there. I mean, I tell them they can call me anytime.
Right.
Because sometimes they just want to
I
know
was
I'm
going
there.
to
and
say,
they're-
sometimes they just want to talk.
and they're, I don't know if I want to say lonely, but their life has changed so drastically in a short amount of time.
Right, right.
That they just need some stabilization. They just need to know the world's still round.
Right, and if they got that, like you just said, that person, even if it took 3 or 4 days, just to talk to them.
Yeah. Yep.
Kathy, that's awesome.
So that's what I do. I'll give you a little bit of statistics. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men experience severe physical violence from an intimate partner. This is all from the CDC information. 9.7% of women and 2.3% of men have been stalked by an intimate partner. Nearly half of all women and men in the United States will experience psychological aggression by an intimate partner. Half.
You know,
They've got some sexual orientation ones I'll just read in case anyone's interested. 2 in 5 lesbian women and 3 in 5 bisexual women and 1 in 3 heterosexual women will experience rape, physical violence, and stalking by an intimate partner. So 1 in 3 heterosexual, 3 in 5 bisexual, and 2 in 5 lesbian. 1 in 4 gay men, 1 in 3 bisexual men, and 3 in 10 heterosexual men will experience rape, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner
whoa.
in their lifetime. One thing that really blew me out of the water was to find out that in 2018 in Missouri, 73 women were murdered by intimate partners in Missouri.
Oh, my
Really?
goodness.
Whoa.
73.
No.
I'm like maybe 1 or 2, you know?
Right. By their partners.
Yeah, in 2018.
And that's Missouri.
That's just
keep
Missouri. That's not the United States.
No. No, I can't imagine what the United States would be, but still in Missouri.
They said a lot of the victims have never reported domestic violence to law enforcement because they don't want to. It's a very complex thing. Here it says when they leave, the first 60 to 90 days after they leave are the most dangerous for them as far as dying.
Really?
Yeah, 60 to 90 days. The thing with domestic violence, a lot of people don't understand, and some people understand it, but they don't understand it.
Right.
I always call it grooming. Whenever you're with an abuser, they might, first of all, they love bomb you, so you think they're wonderful.
Right.
So you think, they're wonderful. And then you feel like, that wasn't right what they did.
Right.
but then they're wonderful. So you got this conflict going on. Well, then they might yell at you, or you're just kind of off a few times with the way they act or whatever, and it seems like it's more and more frequent, and you're like, they used to be wonderful, so I must be off.
Right.
And then maybe you go down the hall and they kind of hit you on the shoulder or whatever, just, and you're thinking, well, I should have scooted over.
Right.
And next thing you know, you should have done supper right. This should have done right.
Right.
And before you know it, you're kind of beat down. And I always say that if somebody punches you in the face, like if I punch you in the face, you'll know that's bad.
Right.
But if somebody's beat you down, and you're just kind of like, oh man, I don't even know what I'm doing, I should have done that better, and then they punch you in the face, you think, I really deserve that,
Right. Right.
And so because it takes a long time, that's not like a week or two. I mean, it takes months to years.
Right.
Because it takes so long to be beat down like that, it takes that long to get back out. And people don't understand. They see this horrible, because it gets to a horrible state, blood or whatever. I mean, it gets bad.
Right.
And they wonder why they can't leave. It's because they're not healthy enough to know they deserve better.
Right.
Because they've been beat down. And I mean, you can explain that to people, but until they really get it, they're like, yeah, I know, but why doesn't she leave?
Right. Right. And
but she has to build herself up enough to leave, and it's hard to leave.
Right.
Especially if you have kids, or you don't have a job, or you don't have income, you don't have family or friend support. Maybe you're in a different area than what your family's.
What do you do then? You're right. So, being you're on that, do you have to be, because I hear this a lot, not as much now, but in the last several years, can you be somebody that's just a good worker, just have a job, have kids or whatever, and you're this good person, you're not somebody that's needy, and I don't mean the needy part in a bad way, like just, I don't know, you have somebody that's a little bit more, what word do I want to use? I can't get it out, but stable, I guess, maybe. But if this person is strong, a strong-willed person, and then like you just said, that all starts happening. Excuse me. That all starts happening. Does it happen to strong-willed people like that?
Yes.
It does.
It can happen to anybody.
To anybody, okay. I didn't know, because I've heard people say, I can't believe that. I wouldn't have stayed with him, or I wouldn't have stayed with her, or whatever.
You know why they say that? Because they're healthy.
Right.
Because they're able to say what they feel.
Right.
Because they can do what they want to do. They can probably wear whatever clothes they want to wear.
Right.
People that are being abused, they can't say that.
Right.
They'll really pay the price when they get home.
Right.
And they have to wait and find out what they can wear that night. And they might walk out to the kitchen to go leave in something and find out they can't wear that. I mean, the person who said that is healthy and free. And she's being who she's meant to be.
Yeah.
The person who's being abused is not free to be who they're meant to be.
And that's sad, isn't it? I mean, just a thing. I know a few people that are like that, and I'm thinking, I never said it to them, but I thought one time, I can't imagine how they can stay. I worked with a girl, and this guy came up. She left for work and came up. This was a long time ago, but came up and parked her car in. I worked at Missy Lane at the time, and she parked her car, and she came up early. It was like 4 or 5, because it was still dark, and he followed her up there and beat her up there. Here she was going to work, and there.
And she could have put her toothbrush down wrong.
Right.
I mean, it could have been anything. But
and
he wants control.
Everybody was trying to help her. Everybody says, you can't stay with him. You got to do this, and you got to do this. Well, the poor girl, I felt sorry for her, because she had no clue what to do. I don't know what to do. What am I supposed to do? I've got kids. She had 2 kids. And I felt sorry for her.
Yeah, it's a very difficult situation because part of an abused person doesn't want to think that it happened to them. I mean, maybe they got a bruise on their eye or something
Right.
from being hit, but they don't want to admit they were hit,
Right.
even though there's a bruise. I mean, to you and I, it's easy,
Right.
but for them, they're just like, I can't be in this situation.
Right.
It can't be this bad.
Right.
That's what they tell themselves because they would never let it get this bad.
Right.
They wouldn't stick with a guy like this. So he must not be like this. It must be me.
It must be me.
Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
So that's the thinking, the thought process of an abused person.
That's sad.
And one thing, a while back, I did some videos with a counselor down at the Safe House for Women in Cape, and I did the before it was abuse type videos because everybody thinks that abuse is, black eye or in
Right.
the hospital or something,
Oh.
but abuse starts
Verbal.
early, I mean, if we can catch it early.
Right.
So we did, I think it was like 3 or 4 videos, which I did them wrong. They said to do segments.
Right.
We were supposed to change clothes and stuff, so it
Oh,
looked like
I
different
see.
days. Anyway, but they were really good as far as catching things early. You should have the voice to say what you want to do. And if you don't want to do what your boyfriend, husband's doing, then you shouldn't have to do it. And if they're making you do it, then you have to evaluate what's
Right.
going on here. Because if you stop it then, if you identify it then,
Right.
discuss it with him. Find out if he's being ornery and he's
Right.
not giving,
Right.
or if he's like, oh, I didn't know you wanted to go.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, if you can identify those things
Right.
early on. But yeah, we did those videos, and people, like I said, they always think it's horrible. Domestic violence is horrible. Like you have to go in a shelter.
Right.
No, you don't have to go in a shelter.
Right.
I mean, you can
Right,
if the
right.
situation requires
Right,
it.
right.
But the goal of helping somebody with domestic violence situations in their life is not to send them to a shelter. It's to
Right.
get them help and have them be independent.
Right.
And get a life that's going to be good for them.
Right.
Yeah, so
It's just sad. I
it's extremely sad.
to let it, so that it gets that bad,
I'll tell a secret.
Right.
So, in the last few months, not anybody around here, nobody around here would know.
Right.
But I actually sat at the bedside of a domestic violence, I guess, victim who did not survive.
Oh,
And it was heartbreaking. And they had a history, long history of domestic violence.
oh,
And I just wanted to take a picture and just show it to everybody and say,
right.
do you want this to happen?
Right. Don't let
But yeah,
this,
it was definitely heartbreaking.
don't let this be you, or this could be you if you don't.
And she never thought it would be her. Nobody does.
No, heck no.
Yeah. Yeah, it was horrible. But it's just like, I don't think people understand. That's why when I saw that 73, I'm like, oh.
Whoa, that's a lot.
Okay. Debbie Downer here. So,
Okay, Kathy.
more on the domestic violence. This is the Missouri Coalition Against Domestic Violence and Sexual Violence, and they're like a hub of information. So they collect information from all the different counties and stuff in Missouri, and then they put out like educational videos, and they teach professionals and lay people, and they're just a bunch of information.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're not a shelter or anything like
Right.
that. But I went ahead and put on here that the national hotline, which is free and confidential, and they will talk to people who call, like have a conversation with them, and then they also give you numbers to things in your area, like maybe you just want a counselor, or maybe you do need shelter, or whatever it is. They've got a database, kind of like what this is.
Oh, okay.
But it's national,
Oh, okay.
So, but anyway, the national hotline, and they've also got a texting number, which is really popular.
Oh, I bet
and
so.
you can text instead of talking, so your abuser won't know that you're communicating.
Oh,
And they also have a website, which is here. And what's really cool about their website is they've got like an exit button, and you just hit that button, and your computer goes so nobody can see what you were doing.
Oh,
So if you got somebody that walked in the room and wants to see what you were doing, you just hit that button
And it's gone.
yeah. So that's really cool too. In St. Francis County, there's the Cmo Violence Center, and then that's their hotline number. Perryville's got a regional crisis center. And then Jefferson County, they have a safe place through Comtree, and that's their number. So, and then this is a definition for domestic violence. When we talk about domestic violence, well, I'll leave that there. We're basically talking about power and control. Oh, that went. When somebody's abusing you, it's because they want power and control over you, because they want to feel important and needed and necessary, and they're in charge.
Right.
So if you have that going on any time in your life where somebody's taking away your voice, or they're taking away your opinion, if you can't voice yourself and say, I don't like that microphone, if they won't let you say that, that is a very big red flag. Because you should be able to like or dislike or say whatever you want to say.
Right.
And if the person you're with truly loves you, they're going to respect you.
Right.
They might not agree with
Right,
you,
I was going to say.
but they'll respect
But
you.
they'll respect us, yeah.
Yeah. Here it says using coercion or threats to get you to do things is abusive. Using intimidation, where they intimidate you
Oh, I can
and you
see
can't
that,
do
yeah.
stuff. Using emotional abuse, using isolation, if they won't let you be with your girlfriends, if they won't let you go to your mom's, if everybody's gonna go to the swimming pool and they won't let you go. Yeah.
That's a sign. Awful.
Minimizing or denying and blaming if they're never responsible for anything and you're responsible for everything in their eyes. You're not responsible for everything. They're pushing that on you. Using the children. A lot of guys will use the children. Yeah. I say guys, but men can be abused
Right.
too. Yeah. Using male privilege, like, because guys are always in charge and, they do this and they do that. Using economic abuse, like if they don't give you money for things that you needed money for, like groceries, or they make you do something to get things. Yeah. I had one that the guy wants things
Right.
before he'll do anything, and it's like, no.
You're married, your money's both of your money.
Yeah.
I mean, especially for bills and stuff like that.
Yeah, but
groceries.
I'm talking like sexual favors.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I know.
Yeah, it's like, no. I mean,
You
if you
shouldn't
don't
have
want
to-
to,
right, that's-
you should never do it. And if they love you, I mean, really, if they
Right.
love you,
They
they
wouldn't
would
ask
not
you to.
want you to do that.
Absolutely not.
So but it's hard for some people to think of that. Okay, let's see. This is if you're going to be an advocate. I was wanting to do a little bit more.
Hey, no, keep going, Kathy, this is interesting.
The legislation update for 2021 by the coalition.
Okay.
So they watch what's going on in the courts and they report it back. They have a rape crisis center tax credit program now, which is new. And then they also had the protection orders change a little bit with the laws, which this is a really big thing. They include the pets. So like if somebody would threaten a pet, or somebody would harm a pet, they would have to pay to get it.
Oh.
Vet bills. And then the judge can get a protection order for the pet.
I'll be darned.
Yeah. And the thing with pets is a lot of people, it's a way to hurt somebody. A lot of people really love their pets, which I do too.
I do too.
But,
Spoiled right
but I mean,
brat.
it's a way that
But
they
yes.
get to the other person.
Yes. I could
and,
see that.
And they're kind of a, what do they call them, emotional aid or whatever. A lot of people like their pets and their pets help them,
Right. Right.
handle their emotions. And it's just something that I thought was really
It's
cool.
like they can love them or they can cuddle with them or something.
Yeah, it comforts them.
Right,
And they
and
can
then-
love them and nobody judges them.
Right,
The
right.
pet does not judge them.
Right.
When their abuser is
Right,
judging them.
right.
Okay, and then another thing is the duration of the order of protections. I I just want to explain, an ex parte usually lasts about a couple of weeks, and that's given right away, like if you need protection right away. So it's a short-term order, but whenever you want that extended, then you go for the full order of protection.
Oh.
Yeah.
So is it like for the part-time or the
Ex
the
parte.
ex parte? So is that just short, kind of like short-term?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's whenever you go to like the courthouse and you get, and you apply for an ex parte or whatever, it's going to be short-term.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just going to be until you get the full order of protection is actually a court hearing where the judge
Oh,
is
okay.
there.
I see.
And the judge listens to both sides, and he determines, what is
I
going to
see.
happen there
Okay.
going forward.
Okay. All right.
With the full order of protection, which is different than the ex parte, with the full order of protection, they have where they can do it for a year, 2 years, 10 years, or a lifetime. That's
Really?
new. That's new.
Oh, that would be if somebody was just, has threatened them and, you know what, I don't care.
In Cape, well, this is new. This is a new order or a new law. But I do know one girl that got a lifetime order since this had started. Her husband is a black belt and messed up her leg really bad. She's had 2 surgeries on it because of how he kicked her or hit her or
Right,
something.
right.
Yeah. So the judge gave her a lifetime. Because normally when you do like a year or 10 years or whatever, you have to go into court again and you have to say why you want it extended.
Right.
And then he's going to say why he doesn't want it extended.
Right.
And not that it's only he's.
Right. It
Yeah.
could be, but, well, I could see that, I could see the year or that lifetime thing.
Yeah.
Especially if, like you just said, he's got a belt, whatever the belt is.
Yeah.
That's a weapon right there.
Yeah. Yeah. He has a black belt and the judge gave it to him.
Right. That's good.
So. And then there's another thing that they added to this bill is stalking, which a lot of people don't. There's different ways somebody can stalk you, like to watch you, and they can use like somebody else. Like I can have Iris tell me what you're doing tomorrow, and she can
Oh.
tell me. Like a third
Check on-
person.
yeah.
Yeah. Let's see.
And this is all new here?
Yeah, this is new. Yeah, it was like really exciting when it first came out. I was so excited.
Well, I
I
know
called the
how you
police
go.
and the sheriff's. I'm like, what are you guys going to do with this new bill?
Right.
They're like, I think they were, let's see, acts in which a stalker directly or indirectly or through a third party follows, monitors, observes, surveils, threatens, or communicates to another person about any action, method, or device.
Ooh.
So it can even be like phones and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so stalking, they've really got into the stalking thing. And then a course of conduct thing, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that term, but if somebody drives by your house every day and slams on the brakes, okay, then they do that the next day, slams on the brakes. And then when they're coming down the road, they're going to slam on the brakes.
Right.
Okay, that's called course of conduct when they know it's predictable. So,
I see.
that's another thing that they can use with the stalking is the course of conduct.
I'll be darned.
Yeah. So that's cool too,
Yeah.
because if you have somebody that's like driving by your house or
Or comes out there and or like you just said, even if it's not stopping, if they're just, if you know at a certain time, or you have a picture window or whatever, and you just see this car go by and real slow, and just kind of slow down or come to a stop, that.
yeah, and you just document what's going on every time, and then it gets to be predictable.
Right.
Like maybe they eat Cheerios with chocolate milk.
Right.
And then the
right.
next day they eat Cheerios with chocolate milk. It's like, I bet they're going to
Yeah.
eat Cheerios with chocolate milk tomorrow.
right?
Yeah. So it's just a predictable thing that goes on. Another thing they didn't do, which is really, I think, really bad, is when a gun's involved with domestic violence, I think it's fatalities go up like 500% or something like that.
Right
It's like
about that.
huge amount jump if there's a gun. They did not take away anything to do with guns with domestic violence.
Oh my gosh.
They didn't penalize it at all. So that's crazy, but they didn't.
These are governing people.
Well, there's a lot of people that are pro-gun, and that's why they probably did that.
Yeah, but that's why they're elected, to make the right choice.
But do they want to be reelected?
That's right.
I know.
Now, that's what's sad, and that's how people get elected.
Exactly.
And, hey, you do this for me, I'll
Here
vote for you.
it says, another achievement for our Missouri Coalition Against Domestic Violence was the historic debate that occurred in the Senate during the last 2 days of the session. Democratic senators held the Senate floor for more than 6 hours in a debate about domestic violence firearms, discussing a domestic violence gun amendment offered by Senator Lauren Arthur to nullify federal laws in Missouri, but the amendment failed. So,
And that was the Democratic Party?
that tried to
Democratic
talk them in
Senate,
it. Yeah. Yep. So I just kind of highlighted some
Well.
stuff.
Just don't take the guns away from me. No, I wouldn't use them in that way. I don't like to do that. I like to shoot. I couldn't hurt anything. I don't care how mad I get. I couldn't hurt anything. That's the problem. I don't get mad at my dog. But the other day he did something. I thought, get that yardstick and pop him on the butt. I couldn't even do that. That's when it's really bad.
Let's see, on unpaid leave, if you have been either domestic violence or sexual assault, you now can have unpaid leave in Missouri, which means you don't get paid, but you can still take off work to go to the doctor, to get whatever you need to get done.
Oh,
you know,
and then your employer can't
fire you.
fire you or get rid of you. Oh,
yeah,
that's good.
it's unpaid.
Right.
But
That's
it is
good,
leave.
though.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
yeah.
good.
I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's only if your employer has more than 20 employees.
Oh,
If they have less than 20 employees, then they don't have
then
to.
you can't. Okay.
Yeah. I was going to say
Sometimes, depending on your employer, if you're a good worker or well, I can't say that for everybody, but I would think that if they knew the situation that they would go along with it. If maybe not out for months at a time. Of course, that's still not
It's really, domestic violence is one of those topics.
right.
I mean, so if
And you have no how-
if the employer was abused, if his mom was abused, blah, 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 I mean, there could be different reasons
Right.
for whatever he does next.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, with common sense, but
I don't know.
I've gotten really cynical through the years.
Oh,
I mean,
I would too. I mean, especially working with that and knowing
Yeah.
what's behind the
people
doors.
aren't predictable.
Right.
You can never predict what anybody's going to do.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
That is so true.
Well, I
Sad
think I'm out of
situation.
paperwork.
Well, you got a pile of a lot of
Yeah.
information. My goodness.
Yeah, I didn't even get that much. It's just what I had around the house.
I mean, I've learned a lot, especially about the Mid-America transplant, the violence, and then I really love the idea of that.
Booklet, yeah. Yeah. On the website, of course, the information's there, but you can print off of the website too. If you want to go to the library, if you
Right.
don't have a printer or
Yeah.
something, you can print off that too. But the books we don't have a whole lot of yet, but I have a feeling we're going to do better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But right now we don't have a whole lot.
So for the books, do you need like donations from people that, I mean, I'm just gonna say, maybe can we say that they need, anybody that would like to donate for the cause?
I don't know. I would talk to Australia
Oh,
in the
okay, okay.
in the Missouri Extension
So it's
Center.
coming out of the extension office.
Well,
program?
it's the Community Service Forum, St. James County
Right.
Community Service Forum is what's doing this.
Oh,
And they're the ones that have paid for this book.
Okay,
Yeah, it's through our taxes, through
Okay, I see what you're saying.
maybe the county. I don't know.
Through
I
the
don't
county,
know.
yeah, probably.
I don't know if it's through the county. Happy goes to the meetings too, so maybe he'll know. But anyway, yeah, we have funding for this, and
Oh, okay.
like my domestic violence, I get funding.
Right, okay.
I don't use a lot of money, but.
Right, but
Yeah.
still.
Yeah, so it's that. But Australia is like our contact person.
Mm-hmm.
So I just send everybody to her. She doesn't mind.
Yeah.
She's got all the time in the world.
That's right,
don't she,
that's your
Australia?
job, right? Right,
So-
okay. Kathy, I can't get over the information I've learned tonight, especially, I mean, that, about the donating the family, knowing about it.
Yeah. People don't understand
Mm-hmm.
that that's the important part. I mean, it's great to sign your license. That's wonderful.
Right.
Yeah.
I have a friend, her son died, and he was young. I can't remember how old he was. Oh, gosh. Well, I could just probably tell you it's Sharon Grass, or David
Oh,
Grass. And she still talks about it. I know he donated his eyes, and it's hard. I thought there was something else I don't want to say because I don't know. I can't remember, but I know this. And I'm pretty sure she got to meet him, and she wanted to meet him. But
That's cool.
and I think it helps her.
Yeah. Oh, it's wonderful.
But
It
you
gives
know, I think
reason, it gives purpose.
right. I just think that that you got somebody young like that passes away. It's hard. But if you have somebody older that passes away and can give a part to somebody else,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he sure
And
was good.
they say, well, they don't say, it's fact, 1% of everyone who's basically registered will be able to donate.
Really?
1%.
1%.
I always say the stars have to be aligned. But,
That's true.
everything has to be, I mean, the way that you die, I mean,
Right.
just all these things play into it, your blood types. And,
Right.
I mean, and they're very picky,
Right.
They're very professional is what I always
Well, if
say.
they weren't so picky,
Right.
it wouldn't work.
Right.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
yeah. No, when you go up there to visit, it's just, I mean, you can go up there and tour, just call them, they'll give you a tour of the building and everything. I was even, a few years ago, I asked the schools if they wanted people to come down, or they could go up to the facility and tour it, because it's medical, it's science,
Absolutely.
but it's also, I mean, life-changing. I mean, maybe they could end up being a donor or a
Right.
recipient or something.
I was just going to say, if the kids saw that, they'd go home and talk to their parents about it.
Yeah.
Because you're talking high school kids anyway.
Yeah.
And some of them that want to be nurses or,
Yeah, because they get all in the scrubs and the whole bit and the hair and the everything.
Really?
And they give you the tour. I mean, if you want the big
Right,
tour.
right.
Because I didn't want the whole big tour. I'm just like, I got a little bit of the tour, and I'm like, I got to get home.
right.
But yeah, it's a really nice place, and they're very professional and very particular, and
But that's good to know.
It's very good. I think it's wonderful. I mean, if I was going to have somebody handling the situation, I would want them to do it perfectly.
Well, I will tell you a few years, here I say few, I'm getting older, so I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago maybe, we were talking about this. I was younger, and we were talking about donating. We were talking about it, and I remember them saying, oh, you don't ever have that. They just go, when you die, they just go in there and cut your guts out. I'm so sorry. That did not come out right. Cut your heart out. They don't care about the rest of your body. They just go in and cut, and I was thinking, oh, they can't do that. They got to do it
No.
they got to do it like if they were doing a heart
Yeah,
transplant.
it's like a whole
or something
hospital. I mean, it has
like that.
everything that your hospital has. It's
Right.
really amazing what it has up there. But also, because you're saying what happens afterwards,
Right.
I know that they do offer the cremation.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they have like a contract with
Right.
St. Louis Cremation, I think. Yeah.
Oh,
So
well,
if
that's good to
if
know.
not, they'll bring you back to St. John if you're from
Right.
St. John, because they'll take care of that.
Okay.
Yeah, because they come down and get you and take you up, and then they'll take you
Oh,
back.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's a class act. I mean, I'm like so blown out of the water
No
by
kidding.
it. But it's really wonderful that they do it that way.
Well, and it's a blessing that we have something like that. You know, how amazing when you just sit about it. Well, for my brother, how amazing can you take somebody's liver and put it in somebody else's, and it just works.
Yeah, and they have a
It's been
life.
several years.
Yeah.
So he did the very first one. I'm going to be honest with you, I can't remember. It was a younger guy. I cannot for the life of me remember what happened, but they got him prepared and like ready to go in, and something happened, and they couldn't use the liver.
Yeah.
I mean, that was sad, because we were so excited. He finally got a liver, and then, you're never, you're excited for him, but you're never excited because you know something happened. But then it wasn't even, I don't think it was even maybe a couple months later, and he got another call. And this one worked, and it's been working ever since. But, and he was, I don't know how old he was. I don't know, probably 50 maybe.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you're older like that, they always kind of
Give it to the younger one, huh?
give it to the younger one. And I don't want to say that in a mean way by all means, but, depending on, I guess,
Yeah.
I would think that if it were me, for me, and then somebody younger, I've lived my life. Sure, I would like to live a little longer, sure. But if I thought that somebody younger, or a mom or a dad or something like that.
What they say up there in Mid-America is let the doctors decide.
Oh,
Bottom line, let the doctors decide.
really?
No matter what your question is,
Right.
let the doctors decide. They know.
Well, they know, absolutely.
Yeah, they have experience. Let them decide.
Well, Kathy, that's good information.
Yeah.
I sure hope a lot of people see this show tonight. If anybody's going to watch the show, this would be, no, I don't mean, because we got some good people that come on and talk, but this is, I am really impressed by all this.
Yeah. I always have
Learned
something
a
to talk
lot.
about.
You always do, yes, you do. Very
Well, girl, I'm telling
informative,
you,
always.
I don't think I said this on TV about the lupus. Didn't I tell you that earlier? I had somebody with lupus and somebody with MS ask me one time if they could donate. And so I hunted down the doctor up there. And he says as long as there's no infection and they can be weight-bearing, they have to be weight-bearing, which means they have to be able to stand up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
So
Okay.
the reason I'm saying all this is because if you think you can't donate for a certain reason, let the doctors decide.
There you go.
Because they know, and both of them thought they couldn't donate. And I'm like, well, let me find out.
Right.
Yeah, because they've always told us to tell people, let the doctor decide, but they were like thinking they couldn't, and I found out. Yeah,
Well, and you'd think if somebody had cancer, well, they're not going to be able to do it. But
Yeah.
if it's cancer in the body, your body parts, and not in your eyes, maybe you could get,
I think it's a type of cancer.
Yeah.
But that's the reason. Zach wanted to donate everything. He wanted people, anything he could do to help somebody. But that's why we really promote this like we do, is because he did have cancer. And most people would think you cannot donate,
Right.
but you can.
You can.
Let the doctors decide. There you go.
Just bottom line, let the doctors, right. Oh, Kathy, this was very interesting. I'll be repeating all this stuff.
And some handouts.
Yeah.
You can have
I'm
them.
telling
Take 'em
you,
home
if you,
and
yeah, if
study
you don't
'em.
want them, I'll take it.
You're welcome
Absolutely,
to.
yes, absolutely. I can make.
I'm gonna keep
I would
the
make-
booklet, though.
Well, yeah, I know. That's fine. I don't know. And then, and especially talking to people that, about the domestic violence. You guys, there are people that can help.
Yeah.
Hear numbers to call or something.
Yeah.
If you could just, Kathy, I would like to be probably somebody that would do the calling.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
That's,
You can call Australia or
I see her a lot.
I
Okay.
can tell her.
I see her a lot.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I could tell her.
Yeah, or Steve or Mary Bleckler.
Okay.
And then me, the four of us is what
Well, I can
we've been
talk to you,
working
too.
on this probably for a couple of years
Oh,
now.
I don't doubt that.
It takes a lot of time.
Yes.
But yeah, we just, as soon as we get something done, we decide we want to do this next.
Well, you know
So-
what? It's good to know that we have somebody like you here.
Well, it's the forum.
Well, I know
Yeah.
it's the forum, and I used to go to that years and years ago. But when I was involved with this Salvation Army, I used to go all the time. But I figured, well, I don't belong other than McDonald's. I don't belong,
I think it's
Let's
good
go.
to be involved in your community.
Right.
Not for pay.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, to
Oh,
do
no.
something out of the, do something because you love it
Right.
and you want to help others or
Absolutely.
influence others, or
Absolutely.
if you want to volunteer giving out
Right.
brochures at the community, at the Welcome Center. I mean,
Right.
whatever it is, just
Right.
I think it's down the creative level. One thing with domestic violence or any kind of trauma, you use the right and left side of your brain all the time. But anyway, if you do something creative, even if it's colored pencils, on a coloring book or something, that just opens up your mind and makes you feel so much better. Next time you're stressed out, use some, draw on a piece of paper, but I like the colored pencils. I give the colored pencils away with the coloring book a lot of times because it makes you feel better.
Right. I know someone that does that.
Yeah.
And when they get depressed, it's not a depression that they want to do anything, but they get depressed. And somebody told them about that. They were at church one day, and actually this girl went to church with a friend in a different church, and it was just, I don't even know how they got on it, and the girl told her that's.
Yeah. Yeah, if you use the creative side of your brain, then, and that goes with, like I said, if you reach out and help people, it's just satisfying to help people.
Right.
Because it gives you purpose. It feels like
It
you did
does.
something good today, and that's why I think people should do that. Because if you give back even just a little bit, it'll make you feel better.
Absolutely. If you can be anything, be kind, right?
Yes, definitely.
You can be anything. And make it, or try to make someone smile, or give them a hug. Well, it doesn't even have to be a hug. I mean, a hug can help, but even just smile or say something nice to somebody, because you have no idea if that person needs that hug or smile or whatever.
Or compliment.
Or
everybody needs a smile.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Because they might
Right.
not have anybody say anything nice to them for
No.
3 weeks
No.
or more.
I think that's what tears me up. I can't stand somebody that's why I can't stand somebody to be mean to their kids. Now, let me stop right there. They need to be, they need to have discipline, put it that way. But to actually beat them or pop them in the head, I can't stand it. I can't even stand the thought, somebody doing it. So I know I couldn't stand somebody that would be in a domestic situation hurting the kids. That would just drive me crazy.
But you realize that when they are in that situation, it came so slowly they didn't even know.
You're right.
And then they feel like they should have done something so the child wouldn't have to get.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's a very complicated situation. You can't just go in there and stamp it and walk
Oh, no,
away.
and I'm telling you, what you said this evening, anybody that's listening has to realize that I never knew, I can't say I knew everything about any of this, because I don't, I guess, well, I am going to have to say I'm blessed, because I don't know that many people that I've seen some that got divorces and, other things. Maybe they didn't get along, or maybe he did hit or what, but it was never to the point that it put him in the hospital or anything. But it was still enough to know that they should have never been treated like that. And they were just, the word you used a while ago, beat down so bad that thinking, because I was one of those people, I never ever said it to him, hey, you just need to leave him or whatever, because you can't be that easy.
When you were talking about being in the hospital, a lot of the people I know that have been in domestic violence situations, they think, and I agree, that emotional abuse is way worse than physical.
I would think,
Because if you get hit or whatever, you can say, this is my bruise, and this is how bad he hurt me, and
Right.
all this. But emotional
Verbally or
abuse,
emotionally.
you cannot see the sore, you can't see the bruise, and there's no way to fix it unless you get therapy and get help.
Right.
It's not going to go away on its own. A
Because-
bruise will,
Right.
but not emotional abuse.
No. And if it's verbal, they're not going to do that in front of somebody. They're going to wait until after you're home, and then or you could be out and they could just treat you like a queen. Then when you get home,
Well, and also, not all abuse is verbal or whatever. Somebody can shoot an eye at you, and you'll know
The
that
look.
that was worse.
right,
than if
the
they would've
look,
punched you.
right. The
So it
look
doesn't,
is,
I mean, when you
it don't
see
have to be
people at a
verbal.
grocery store and they
Right.
look fine,
Right.
they could be getting some eye or getting, I mean, you just don't know.
yes,
That's
yes.
why people could communicate a lot of different ways.
Right.
So, it's very difficult, but getting self-esteem and doing things, like I said, going
The
out
big
and
thing,
helping people.
right.
If you can keep your self-esteem somewhat high, then you can identify that you need to, get away or need a break. I mean, you don't have to go to a shelter.
Right.
You can just get some counseling or, join your girls group and bowl or whatever.
Right. Right. Just get out with somebody.
So that so you're normal.
Right.
So people can say, you're funny and stuff
Right.
like that. Because when you're at home, you don't get any of that.
No.
Yeah. So if you can just keep, your head above water.
Right.
Until you're healthy enough to.
To do that.
Yeah.
Oh, Kathy, this was wonderful. This was really, wait a minute. The information was wonderful, just to hear what can be done for people that need it.
Yeah. And I'm not a professional. I'm just peer. I just say what I've seen.
Yeah. But that right there is definitely something.
Yeah, every person
you're
I've worked
helping
with. Yeah,
someone.
every person I've worked with absolutely loves me.
Yes. Well, I'm sure
I
they
told
do,
my husband, I
Kathy.
said, I think I'm a wonderful person.
Right. And you.
Dave's like, they don't live with you.
Right, I know. So don't you say nothing mean about me, because I am wonderful.
But yeah, evidently I'm doing a good job, so
Yes.
that's all that matters.
Oh, I'm
Even
sure,
if I just helped
absolutely.
one, but it's
Well,
been several.
and that's all it takes, Kathy,
Yeah.
is the one.
Yeah, I had 6 going around Christmas, before Christmas.
Really?
I call them active if I talk to them in 3
Right. Mm-hmm.
days or less, 3 days or less. I had 6 of them going.
Wow.
My husband's like, you need an assistant. I know I do,
Right.
but
Right.
I don't know who to ask.
Oh, Kathy.
That's it.
Thank you so much for.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for calling.
Well,
We'll do that again.
right,
Yeah,
right.
sure.
And if there's something that comes up,
Yeah.
and that we're, anything else that comes up, let us know. I'm
Yeah.
glad to hear about that legislation.
Yeah, it's in there.
Yes,
Yeah.
really glad
But
to
you
hear
can go to
about
that website, the
Yeah,
top
I'm
one,
glad I got all
and it's
this.
got a lot of information. I mean, they are information.
Right,
That's what they
right.
are. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Well,
Okay.
I don't have anything. You have anything to ask us or
I think
whatever?
I said enough.
Yes, you did. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So
Both of
about
your
donations,
projects are
absolutely
wonderful. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Kathy, thank you. And
Thanks for having me.
yeah.
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 Okay, so
Okay.
we'll say good night to everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.